Hey everyone, GrimmChorizo here. This is Wrestling Roundup, the show where I give you this week's wrestling news, rumors, and recap. So let's start with some results from Raw. Roman Reigns defeated Kevin Owens in a singles match and is now the #1 contender for the Universal title. I think this is really dumb. You don't need to have your US champion challenging for the Universal title. I think he should be defending the United States title because the US title basically means nothing right now. Paul Heyman announced in an interview that Brock Lesnar has entered the Royal Rumble match. The New Day retained the WWE Tag Team titles against Gallows and Anderson, once again by some dirty tactics using the tights. And in the main event of Raw, Sasha Banks defeated Charlotte Flair to win the Raw Women's title in a Falls Count Anywhere match. The match was awesome. There were some crazy spots. It's cool that Sasha won the title, but it also follows that trend again of the title just changing back and forth every month. It's like, on Raw, Sasha wins it in a big match. At the next pay-per-view, Charlotte wins it back. I think that, this has to stop, and, the feud has been good, but it needs to stop for now and pick up later. On SmackDown, Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch signed the contract for their match at TLC, and then Alexa Bliss put Becky through a table. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton defeated American Alpha to become the #1 contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team titles at TLC. Dean Ambrose hosted the Ambrose Asylum with James Ellsworth. AJ Styles came out and beat them both up. He delivered a Styles Clash to James Ellsworth off the steps onto the floor. It was brutal. And then later on, to close out SmackDown, AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose had a big brawl backstage. So who won this week, Raw or SmackDown? Personally, I thought both shows were very, very good, and that's why for the first time, don't hate me for this, I'm going to give it a tie. Both Raw and SmackDown win this week. Raw progressed stories very well. I wasn't so big on the Roman and Owens stuff. I don't like what they're doing with Reigns. I just don't really like the way they use Reigns, and I don't want him back in the main event like he basically has been for the past month. But however, they did have some awesome matches. Like, I thought that the women's title match was amazing. I loved that they had a backstage segment with Cesaro and Sheamus. It wasn't even backstage, it was in a bar, and they basically had a bar fight, and that's what brought them together. And now they're united, and they are, I guess going to be a strong tag team. I thought that was really cool. There was a parking lot attack between Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho. There was just more raunchy stuff on Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown had some good matches. I thought even Luke Harper and Kane had a pretty decent match. And you saw Becky Lynch calling Alexa Bliss a bitch. It feels like they're doing more old school stuff. And I thought that both Raw and SmackDown were very good, and I sat and I thought, and I honestly couldn't decide. So I'm going to try not to do ties too often, but this week, I give the win to both Raw and SmackDown. WWE premiered the 205 live show on the network, and in the main event of that show, Rich Swann defeated Brian Kendrick to become the new Cruiserweight Champion. So TLC is this Sunday. Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss's match will now be a tables match for the Women's Championship. And Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton will challenge Heath Slater and Rhino for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Also, coming up this month is Roadblock End of the Line, a Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and the main event of that show has been announced: Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the Universal title. So thanks for watching this week's episode of Wrestling Roundup. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next week. Be sure to check out my predictions for TLC here on The Vortex. See you guys later. Have a good one.